that awkward moment of kind of looking at each other and summing up the person you're against and going, what have you got left? Anyway, I decided this is it, I've got to go now, and I kicked. I went in front. Hey guys, it's Saturday night and we're almost there. It's the Saltergate Gallows fell race tomorrow. As most of you probably already know, I am racing the full series, the Esk Valley Winter Fell series. This is the first of the series and I'm not quite ready yet to go full-on race mode. So tomorrow is going to be a nice, easy run for the first 6 miles, probably going at about a moderate effort. And then we're going to see how I feel. I thought it might be handy for you all to see the mandatory kit. You basically have to have, as fry races go, a top and bottoms, both with tape seams, hat and gloves, emergency rations, obviously something to carry them in, with a whistle, which I've got attached to there, and compass and map of the route. That's what you need. Otherwise, you're not allowed to race, or you get disqualified if you do and you get found out. Going on to what I'm actually using during the race, around 50 minutes and then probably maybe another 20 minutes after that, I'm going to take one of these. These are the honey stinger gels. They're honey based and yeah, they're organic and they seem to agree with my stomach and I can get them down easily. The SIS gels I tend to struggle with. They're a bit gooey, a bit too sickly for myself personally. In terms of hydration, I'm taking ½ litre water. That's one of the main reasons I'm taking the pack with me, the Montane pack, rather than my bite, which is like a belt. I don't want to take a ½ litre water. It's not going to be enough for me personally. And I'm going to stick half of one of these pH 1000 precision hydration tablets in my water. And in terms of shoes, this is quite important. I'm using the iRock shoes, fell running shoes. As you can tell, a bit dirty, but they've got a very good grip. I do prefer the Scott Super Track RCs. However, it's going to be very, very wet and muddy tomorrow. I've checked the forecast and unfortunately it's hauling it down all morning, and that starts from about 1 this morning. Doesn't stop until well after the race. So I'm going to be getting very, very wet, I think. Good morning guys and welcome to Levisham. As you probably saw from some of the footage on the way here, the weather is grim. It's set to be like this pretty much all day. The wind's picked up a bit as well, so it's going to be wet, slippy and windy by the looks of it. But one thing I did forget to mention last night, this is actually doubling up as a Northeast Fell Running Championship race as well. I think it's one of the last in their series. So we'll probably have a bigger field than we usually expect here today, especially considering the conditions, and most likely more competitive as well. So that'll be interesting to see who turns up. I just wanted to explain for a minute as well what makes these fell races so great and why I keep coming back to them. You basically turn up into a small village in the middle of nowhere, enter a village hall and hand over £5. You then stand outside nivered, waiting for someone to say go, at which point everyone flies out of the village. Probably, bless them, the people who live there, the residents, probably think what the hell's going on. And then the first person to finish the loop and get back wins. They'll probably get a bottle of beer for their efforts, muddied up to holy hell, and then they'll be back home by lunch. And yeah, that's it. There's no fanfare. It's modest and it's honest. And that's why I love it, because we can get caught up with running, with getting a medal, getting a PB and all these things. Well, all that goes out the window with fell running. You can't really go off PBs. The courses generally change year by year anyway, so you can't carry that over. And the ground is so different that even if the distance was the same from race to race, you still wouldn't be able to transfer your times over. It's about the pure enjoyment of running in the middle of nowhere with some views. And on that note, I'm going to put you in the bag. I'll be pulling you out afterwards and we'll do a quick brief overview of how the race went and then go into a bit more detail when I get home. So wish me luck guys.
Okay, ready?
And I'm back. Look at that. Muddy as hell. Absolute bog fest. I'm drenched, soaking, freezing. I got second place, finished in 1:30 something. I'll bring all the stats up later, we'll talk about the race in detail later. I'm absolutely freezing and I got to go get changed into some warm clothes, so...
I was second place. Unattached is Darren Smith. Peter Allen.
I'm back home, guys, getting warmed up, getting some good nutrition in me and kickstarting my recovery that'll carry on for the rest of the week. I wanted to quickly say a thank you to everyone involved. That was such a well organised event. It was a proper fell race. It was windy, cold, muddy, and the marshals must have been frozen, stood about on the moors. At least we were running, so we kept warm. So yeah, again, just well done to everyone. Such a good event. I really enjoyed it. Some race stats for you. So it was 12.26 miles. I'll pull these up on screen. 1,600 foot, a bit more of elevation gain, and I averaged 7-minute 57-second miles, which got me in at around 1 hour and 37 minutes, a bit over that. As for the race itself, I always said I was going to go out on moderate efforts for the first 6 miles. Well, the plan went out the window, to be honest, in the most spectacular fashion. I got to mile 2 and I'd made my way up from 15th to 10th, and I was feeling really good. But there was a cluster of about 4 runners in the distance and they were starting to pull away. So I had a decision to make in the next mile. Do I let them go and stick to my game plan and then kick at mile 6? Or do I chase them? I just had to chase them. I couldn't let them pull away. I felt so good as well. And the whole point of holding back was to save my legs for future races because I didn't feel like I was ready to race the distance. But with how good my legs were feeling and how well I was going, I just thought I can't waste the opportunity. So I just went and I started slowly picking people off. By mile 6, which is when I was gonna kick, I'd already overtaken a couple of runners. On the ascent up towards the end of mile 6, I overtook another. I was probably in the top 7, I think, going onto the flat, of which I averaged about 7-minute miles on there, leading up to mile 8 or 9. At which point I took a gel to get some more fuel in my body and started setting myself about going after the top 6. Once I caught up to them, I think I got up to about 4th place and I started thinking, I'm not far off a podium here. So anyway, I just kept plugging away and yeah, sure enough, I saw another 2 guys in the distance, this with about 3 miles to go. And I thought, if I've gone from 15th all the way to 4th, and I'm catching these guys, I must have more left in my legs. So I started to really work hard, and at this point, this is when my legs were starting to tire. I eventually got into 3rd place and started chasing down 2nd, who's Pete. He runs for the Pickering Running Club, and he was having a really good race. And with a couple of miles to go, he just didn't seem to be letting up. I mean, I think it was maybe miles 10 and 11. I was averaging sub 6.5-minute miles, which after what we'd already done and the fact we're on the moors, up and down, and what the conditions were like, that's pretty fast really for me. So yeah, that was tough to hold. I managed to close him in a little bit and I got to one of the last descents. And sure enough on that, I flew down it and I managed to catch Pete up. He slipped at the bottom. He was perfectly fine though, he got straight back up and then we both were running side by side. And it was that awkward moment of kind of looking at each other and summing up the person you're against and going, what have you got left? Anyway, I decided this is it, I've got to go now, and I kicked. I went in front of Pete. And do you know what, I want to say one thing before I carry on. In the spirit of sportsmanship, which is so big in fell running, fair play to Pete, because for the rest of the race, he kept telling me where to turn. I knew anyway, but that's not the point. He didn't know that. I was in front of him. He could have just let me turn wrong if that's what I was going to do and then overtake me. But fair play, sportsmanship, and that's what fell racing's all about for me. Anyway, back to the race. So we got up to this last descent and my legs were burning, absolutely killing me. They were going to jelly and I thought, I'm going to bonk if I'm not careful here. I knew I only had half a mile if that to go, And because I was climbing, I knew Pete was right behind me. I thought, I cannot show any weakness. Any weakness that he sees, he'll take advantage of. Anyway, we got to the top of that climb, and there's a stile to go over. Going over that stile, my legs just went. And I had to literally pick my left leg up and lift it over the stile to get over. I got over to the other side and managed to muster something to carry on going. And there's one last ascent up a field, which is maybe only 200 yards, but it is just a killer on the legs. And I knew for a fact, this is it. This is the last hard part of the race. I have to push on here. I can't show him that it's hurting. And I got to the top of there, and then that was it. It's just plain sailing from there. You've maybe got another, 300 metres of that's on a slow descent down. I averaged about 5-minute, 50-second miles, I think, on that bit. And I was making some strange noises, so apologies to the marshals that I went past. They must have been a little bit worried. But yeah, I got in over the line in second place. I'm absolutely chuffed to pieces at that. That was not the plan at all. The plan was to go and have this as a training race, but the plan went out the window. And thank you so much to Jason, who I know was marshalling anyway, but he gave me loads of support and made a point of getting to different points in the race to kind of give me an update on where people were as well. It was very good of him. And yeah, just again, thanks to all the marshals and everyone who's involved. So that's a great start to the series for me. Second place will get me the second highest amount of points, naturally. So going into future races, I'm in a really good position now. And yeah, I absolutely love the race. I'd recommend it to anyone who's thinking about it. And we're on to the next one. So what's the week got in store for me? Well, I'm going to be recovering for the next couple of days. It's all easy runs. I'm going to try and get a massage, I think, on Friday to try and release a few things. I'm going to be using my Compex. I'm going to be using my ultrasound machine. I'm going to be eating lots of really good food. No refined sugars, no dairy. Trying to just basically get as much protein as I can and recover properly. This weekend I'm going to go out and I'm going to recce the next race route, which is up at Sutton Bank. And yeah, the next race is in 2 weeks. The following race after that is another couple of weeks. So recovery is vital. I have to make sure my body is in the best shape possible for the next couple of races. But yeah, I had a fantastic day. I loved it. Thank you everyone for following, and those who subscribed already, I hope you're enjoying the content. Those who haven't, please do subscribe if you're interested. There is a bell as well next to the subscribe button. If you click that, it will notify you when new posts come out. But yeah, thanks for following, and we will see you next week.